Is it gonna go like that?
No, it's not doing the
Countdown.
it is not doing the countdown today. Well, Miss Stacy, good morning to you. Stephanie Sellers, good morning to you. Look at this. Look at these people we got on here today. Kathy, I see you again, Kathy. Noah, Edwin, Mr. Dennis, Paul. Paul, I owe you a call back. You called me yesterday and I did not call you back. Mr. John Root. John Root was working already. Him and I were trying to negotiate, trying to buy a property today, trying to get one under contract. Another wholesale we're working on today. I'm still waiting to see the my co-host. I'm still waiting for her to be on here. Oh, Sherry. Let me check my text messages to see. While we're waiting for Sherry to come on in here, today all is going to be a lot of Q&A. Okay, we got Q&A. When we do Q&A sessions like this, okay, my job is to keep everybody like in line because it can go off tangents. And just know it's not made to be mean. It's just I want to make sure we can get as many questions as we can. And then if we need to do some one-on-ones, we certainly can because you're going to get all our contact information. We do record everything, good old artificial intelligence. So in the chat for me, tell us where you're from, what area you're in. We've been blessed and very fortunate in our business for what I do, which first and foremost, well, who am I? For those that this is your first time being on here, I'm a dad. As you can see, summer vacation has started, and that is my son, Bryce. So for the next 2.5 months, you're going to have to deal with that a little bit, but it's going to be okay. So my name is Coach Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate coach, a DAD. I am a real estate agent and I am an investor as well. I practice wholesaling. I do a lot of novations. I've been doing novations for the last 2 years, and we average about an 80% conversion of our novations, and we do about 190 a year. So we do quite a few of them. So that's why we need a lot of real estate agents all across the country that we have. We average about 75 real estate agents in our team, but we're always looking for more quality agents. I had a great conversation with Stacy yesterday. I have many great conversations with a lot of you, and it builds opportunities. And now I started working with Zach Thomas and Joey Dispo Joey. That's been many of you I've seen on 30 for 30. And that has really opened up a whole nother opportunities that we've had. And so investing has been something very, very um, I don't want to say popular because investing's always been around. I think it's just coming to the forefront. And I think because of social media, people see it. And when you see something that you like and you see something that somebody else is doing, you're like, I want to get my paws on that. And so I've seen it really develop, and there's a lot of challenges with us who have real estate licenses. For those that don't have a real estate license, I think we're going to see some more straps being tied up, some things that are going to be under the microscope a little bit more. And so we got to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, because here's the thing. There's nothing illegal on what we're doing. There's nothing illegal about investing. If you're a real estate agent, put a 5 in the chat if you're a real estate agent. Put a me in the chat if you're a real estate agent. So that way we get a sense of you're a real estate agent. If you're an investor, put investor in there. If you're a lender, put lender in here. Whatever title you have, just put it in here in whatever capacity. Cindy's in here. Cindy and we are working on a partnership on marketing. All this stuff we're doing, we're working on getting it out there for exposure. I also, before I even do anything, yes, Sherry's in here now, so I'm gonna bring Sherry to the stage here shortly. But I also got to thank Rika. Rika is my VA. I run a virtual agency company with my partner Jay that's on here, who lets everybody in and manages my Zoom while I'm on here. But Rika is behind the scenes. She is the guru. We use Monday.com. So if you're looking for our CRM, Monday.com is a really good CRM. There's a free version and a paid version. for what it is. We have right now about 37 active listings across the country. So there's no way in the world I could do this without leverage and amazing people. So I always want to give a shout out to them. And so I think it's important all that we really understand the rules and regulations of investing. And as a real estate agent, you have to understand that you have an opportunity to do other things to get referrals all across the country. If you're a wholesaler, there's different ways to be able to get referral fees. There's different ways to be a consultant, I call it. Okay. If you're really wanting to do this at a higher level, you might want to get an LLC. Okay. An LLC is the best way for you to be protected. If you have an LLC, you're like, well, Brock, I have an LLC. I already have an LLC. Well, if it's like, cooking LLC, like I'm a really good baker LLC, like I probably would get an L one, okay? Because if push comes to shove and you got to go to court or something comes into play, and I'm just being honest with you, all you got to protect yourself. Like they're gonna be like, oh, cooking LLC, that's how you're paying a consultant for real estate. Like, I'm not too sure about that. So I just want to make sure everybody is protected when it comes into this. Now, the speaker, our guest that we have here, that we're going to round robin, and I want you to start throwing some questions in the chat. All her and I are going to have a general conversation, and then we're going to start opening it up. And I think we're going to get questions from our conversation that Sherry and I have. So before I even get into that, let's bring Sherry on board. So guys, put some fives in the chat, put some love in the chat here for my guru, the person who keeps me accountable, who gets mad at me if I don't look at my investments accordingly and tells me you're not building a legacy for your kids, Brock. Miss Sherry. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, Brock, and good morning, everybody.
Yes, so anytime I do something, or tell Sherry I'm getting ready to wholesale something or something else, she keeps me really close knit on being like, well, why don't we partner together? Why don't we either, potentially flip it? Why don't we hold and rent it out she just like, you got to have somebody in your wheelhouse. Put me in the chat. If you have somebody that's a partner for you that keeps you in line, put me in the chat if you have that. If you don't have that in here and you're looking for accountability, you're looking for people that you want to have conversations with, I'm going to tell you all, put your phone number in this chat. This is a safe room. This is not being put out onto like some big Facebook. It's not being out there in the public. This is a private group, okay? Jake, if we can make sure that you put my phone number in there, please. Like I want you guys to reach out to us. Sherry's gonna put her number in here because she's always like that too. But this is a safe room. This is like, hey Mo, this is Brock. I saw you on the show and I'm, where you at? Where are you doing in your business? Like, hey, I really want to get into investing, but I could really use some accountability. Would you be interested in having a conversation with me? I promise y'all, people that are took time out of their day to be here, they want to do something more. they want this. They want to, like, if there's an investment opportunity today, somebody's not going to say, well, you know what, I just don't have time today. I don't want that. Like, no, this is why we're all in this room here. So thank you all for putting your phone numbers in there. Make sure you get mine and Sherry. So now, Sherry, I'm going to get back to you, Sherry. Sherry, give us a 10,000-foot overview. I kind of laid the groundwork a little bit of how this is going to go. You and I having a conversation, then kind of sharing some. I'm going to ask you some questions, and then we're going to take some questions from people that are on here today. We're going to do this all to about 10:55, 11 o'clock because I do have a hard stop because I coach other people on Thursday, so I got to continue to move on. But we started this last week or 2 weeks ago, and everybody was like salivating. But for those of you that don't know Sherry, kind of give us a 10,000-foot overview of who you are and what you've been doing in the investment world, and maybe one of your best investment sales you did.
All right. Yep. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sherry Letterman, and I introduce myself as an investor that happens to have a real estate license, right? So Coach Brock has been teaching me as well how to do what y'all know as real estate, right? The retail real estate side of it is what I call. And so But my true wheelhouse is investing, and I started back in 2004, 2005. At the time, I was buying HUD foreclosures and rehabbing and renting those. I also property managed for 5 years until I learned the value and absolutely hugged my property managers I have today and handed those right over, right? I've also flipped in the Winston-Salem market there. I've yet to flip anything here around the Charlotte area where I'm located, but I'm excited about doing that again. But one of my funnest projects that I got to work on was the flip I did in Winston-Salem, right? I had gotten myself into a room of real estate investors and put myself out there and was just following the chats that was coming through. And one of the wholesalers reached out and said she had a house in Ardmore section of Winston-Salem. If you know anything about Winston, Ardmore is a section that's close to Baptist Hospital, and those houses, if they're done properly, they sell in days. And so I immediately raced over to it. And long story short, the young lady that she and I were bidding against each other for the house, y'all, the wholesaler reached out and said, why don't y'all partner up together? She said, I've spoken with both of you. And she said, your strengths are opposite of her strengths, and you guys would be a great team. So what a way for a wholesaler truly just like did a stop on her paycheck, because we had a conversation together on the phone and we partnered up and bought the house for 150, put 80,000 into it. So there we sit at 230, y'all. We sold it for 350. So 352. So talk about an incredible paycheck to get that 120,000 plus check at closing. Now I just know, y'all, that is a needle in the haystack find kind of thing. But those deals are out there. But I would have never been privy to that if I hadn't gotten myself in that group, if I hadn't gotten myself in that room and I wasn't following what the chats were coming through on there, right? And I know when people talk about investing in real estate, you know, the horror stories, they're awful. Well, you know what? There are horror stories, and it's horror if that's how you choose to see it, right? Because the craziest story I'll tell you right quick is many of you know, some of you don't, but I was a flight attendant for 31 years. And at one point, I just retired last year. Whoop. So from the W-2 job, right? But I was on a trip at one point in a hotel room, and 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a call from my renter. I was property managing at the time, and a drunk driver drove into the living room. Right? So I asked my little renter, the young lady, I said, well, let me speak to one of the police officers there. And she says, oh, Sherry, I called you. I haven't called the cops yet. Like the man is still in the car. Like the car is sitting, he's still in the car. And so the next morning I had to get off my trip and get, and I'm like, hang up, call the cops, say, call me back. So in other words, I wasn't right there to go and handle and deal with that and all that. Right. And at that point, I reached out and found some fantastic property managers. I will happily recommend them to any of you that are in the Charlotte area and are looking for property managers there. But it could have been a horror thing, but y'all, the blessing in it was, it truly wasn't as much damage as it sounds. It was, she had me thinking like the whole car was sitting in the living room, right? And then when she sent me the pictures of it, it was truly just like, the corner of the front of the car kind of went in and damaged part of the front door, and when I heard it, it was the image that came to my mind. The whole car is in the house. What are you talking about? So it wasn't that bad of a deal, but it was crazy for me because I had to get off work on my W-2 job. So that's kind of a rough part of it. And just even, I'll share this other little tidbit. The very first house I ever bought, I sold on a lease contract, right? And within 6 months, that particular individual decided to stop paying his rent. So there I go. The very first person, y'all, that I rented this house to and sold it to him on a lease contract, I am walking to go to the courthouse to evict him. I had no idea what I was doing, but I say that to say, y'all, it's powerful to get to your local Charlotte or your local real estate investor association meetings, wherever you are. Google those, REIA, REIA near me. Get in those rooms and find those seasoned investors, because that's who truly saved me and didn't have me just throwing up my hands and selling that house and I'm out of this. Because I walked into the local REIA meeting and said, y'all, here's what's happening. What do I do? and they guided me straight through the steps of how to go about it. And that was ended up being a powerful success story as well. So it's your mindset is very important, right? And how you approach real estate investing.
And for those that are taking notes, and I'm like, here's the thing, like most of you all know me, and those that get to know me, like we want to give you tactical stuff. I want to give you something freaking at 11:01 today. You can go into a Facebook group and start looking at this stuff and getting in these rooms here to like getting in other rooms because that's the most important thing. Okay. The most important thing is you have to get around individuals that are doing what you want to do. And you want to get around mindset of people. Like if I went and go talk to Bryce, I love him. He's my son for crying out loud. But I'm not gonna have a conversation with the kid on this. He's not the right environment. He's not the right person for me to have a conversation with. So if you go and you go tell your parents this, or you go and you tell your best friend this, and they're a dentist, they're gonna be like, yeah, that sounds really good, but that sounds scary. I mean, how are you going to afford that? What are you going to do? Like, they're going to be very, not negative. They're going to be what my mom is to me. Brock, you're burning the candle on both ends, Brock. You got to take it easy, Brock. Like, no, mom, I will do that later on. Right now, I'm all in. And so make sure you that's why I tell people to put your phone number out here to talk to other people. If you do wholesaling your investor, could you put yourself in the chat again? Because I know I have a lot of real estate agents, but there's several of you that are investors and wholesalers. As Sherry said, you should all say you're an investor. If you want my scripts, I'll share some of them later today. But like literally, that's what I say anymore. I'm a local real estate agent and I'm an investor. Depending on who I'm calling, if I'm calling FSBOs and expireds, that's my intro. I'm a local real estate agent and investor. If I'm calling my if I'm calling my wholesales and I'm trying to work a deal in the novation area, I'm an investor and a real estate agent. Okay. So that's how you present yourself because how many people are making phone calls? How many people across the country are freaking blowing up people's phones? So you got to separate yourself right away when it comes into that. I'm going to share with you guys literally, I don't know if James is on here. Um, I'm going to just share my screen here real quick. Here's a deal literally all he was pissed at himself. And we pulled it up here, and I just want to give you guys examples, okay? So when you see this all, normally, as a real estate license and you're unsure of yourself, this you would cringe at this type of thing. Because look at this house. This house is a complete disaster zone that they got. This is what the outside looks like. Put a two in the chat if you've seen a house look like this. Put a two in the chat. In your lifetime, you've drove by a house that looks like this, and you're like, oh my God, that HOA is just gonna just destroy that. I cannot believe. I can only imagine. How many? Put a two in the chat if you've maybe not seen the inside, but I mean, let's just take a look at this house, all. Okay, let me take a look at this house. All right, not the greatest one. All right. I broke down this deal with this guy yesterday and I said, here are the numbers. Okay, I'm just going to go back to listing here real quick. I'm just going to share with you some numbers and then we're going to get into Sherry's. So do y'all read that? Do you see that in the upper left-hand corner? Can somebody read what it says here? Sherry, what is that? What is that word?
Sold for
Sold.
350. Sold.
Somebody freaking bought that piece of shit. Oh, somebody bought it. All right. You want to know how much money the investor made? I'm going to get off the screen to tell you this. 20 grand. 20 grand. And the average person looks at this. Now, guys, I'm going to show you something else. Here's the scary part. Here's the scary part. When I went down to this, I said, man, let's scroll down to over here. Okay. I'm going to show you something all. This is going to, those of you, how many of you want to make more money? Put a me in the chat if you want to make more money. How many of you want to put a me in the chat? How many of you want to make more money in less than 30 days? Can somebody tell me when he listed this person listed this on what?
May
May 19th. Guess when it closed?
June 8th.
Does anybody know that that's less than 30 days? I can even get my son in here to help us out. That's less than 30 days. Listed it for $399. 350 was the price, and the acquisition was 325. Okay. So was it exactly 20,000? May have been like 19,000. But that was less than 30 days. How many of you would like to make about $19,000 in less than 30 days? Anybody in here like okay with that type of stuff? But see, when you see that house, it might be like, oh, that Brock, there's no way that house could be sold. Guys, that was on the MLS. That was on the MLS. That's why as real estate license agents, you can do this. You just got to set it up appropriately, and you got to be able to do you got to be able to understand how this works. Stacy, yesterday, her and I were talking. She's doing a novation down in New Orleans. She's like, Brock, I have like 3 or 4 other properties that we can have conversations with. That's how it starts, all. It's being like, yeah, let's have a conversation. Let's JV it. Write that down. JV. Write down JV. Or my wholesalers, my investors, they understand that. Okay. They get that type of thing. You need to start understanding what that's all about. You get joint venture agreements. Partnerships, real estate agents, we call it referrals. Wholesalers call it JV. All right. She has 15 to 20 deals, right? 15 to 20 deals that she's got out there that potential. Many of us have these opportunities. We just don't know how to present it. So, Sherry, in your investment world, what would be like a nugget? What would be something that you would want to share with us to dive in a little bit deeper on this when it comes time for where people should start? I know the REAI guys, that's a great place to go into your wheelhouse or anything else like that. Talk to us a little bit more, Sherry, on oh, I know what I want to ask you is that person on here today who says, well, I don't have the money. Okay, because let's just talk about limiting beliefs. All limiting beliefs are very, but Brock, I don't have any money. Okay, listen, I had a credit score in the 500s. I've been divorced. I've lost my house. I've lost my cars. I had my cars repossessed. All I've had IRS debt up to 150,000. Like, I get it, but there's opportunity out there. There's different loan programs that you can do. Sherry, kind of walk us through that limiting belief that anybody here who says they don't have money, that they can't do this, and this is just not for me. And I'm going to share with you on the wholesale side, but you give us your perspective on things.
Well, let me just share with you first for the real estate agents in the room, because I know a lot of times when you talk to other real estate agents, they don't want to share their leads. They want to keep everything close to how they're doing their business, right? And I cannot exaggerate to you enough how different it is when you walk into your first REIA meeting, if you've never been to one. The REIA meetings are filled with real estate investors who want to share with you their knowledge, who want you to win. It's just a complete 180 of from being a real estate agent to being an investor. So y'all get in those rooms and meet those full-time investors and get their contact information. And the reason joint venture is so important, and Brock is wanting you to write down those letters JV. That's what that is, joint venture. That's where you sign up. You basically create a partnership together to invest. Now, if you're in that situation where you don't have the credit, you don't have a consistent income that you can show, because as real estate agents, that's what we're accustomed to, dealing with people. Go get pre-approved. Go get all your paperwork sent in first. Well, there's investor loans out there, y'all, where you basically, like, if you're a beginner, write this down, rehabwallet.com. Susie, somebody type this in the chat for me. I'm going to give you her contact information with Rehab Wallet. And this is how this works. If you are a first time investor, it's required for you to put down 20%. The Rehab Wallet loans are no income check, no credit check. They loan based on the property, right? So Susie's number is 803-960-5742. She's with Rehab Wallet. If you come to the Wednesday morning REIA meetings at IHOP down at Whitehall Plaza, thank you, Brock, you will meet Susie there, and she can share with you. But you can give her a call at that number, and she'll talk you through it. But what I was talking to Brock about last week, and he's like, well, I don't have the money for this once we got off the call, the 2-week call. And I said, Brock, if you and I were to partner up, right? Because once you're a seasoned investor, you no longer have to put down 20%. You put down 10%. So what that means is if when you find a property you want to invest in and you've got a partner who has some experience in real estate investing, now each of you only has to come up with 5% down for that property, right? Because that rehab wallet loan is what's called a hard money loan. It's good for 12 months, 6, 12, 18 months, whatever you decide, right? That'll make sense when you go to the website. And if it doesn't, just give Susie a call and she'll walk you through it, because y'all, you're going to have to take off your real estate agent hat and put on your investor hat, because it's different language, it's different acronyms, it's all the things. It's just a little different, but it's learnable, right? But with a hard money loan, what that does is a hard money loan gives you the purchase money and your rehab money, right? So then you've got your down payment, and then your holding cost is what you're typically looking for from your private money lenders. And that's where a lot of folks go. That's how you get into real estate investing with no money out of your pocket, right? Either you go to someone who has an IRA that they can, 401k that they can do a self-directed IRA for you. And they loan you their money for that time frame, whatever the two of you negotiate, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, whatever it is. But when they pull that money out of their IRA and put it in a self-directed IRA, they can loan it to you. And what you're promising them, and y'all, there's paperwork for this. All this is legal, right? What you're promising them is a return on their investment. So they're getting a 10, 12, 15, 18% return. And those numbers vary because it's what you negotiate, right? It's what you're going to offer 10% right off the bat. And if they take it, great. If they say, well, I want 12, 14, or 15%, then you guys just negotiate. You all know how to negotiate from there. But that's how you get into properties with no money out of your pocket. And it is literally just utilizing your resources and just having these confirmations. Oh, thank you, Kathy, for putting that in the chat. Yes, Susie is. She would love to hear from you and just talk through. You can go to their website and check out all the many different things that they offer. And the more deals you do with them, the greater funds that are released to you, kind of thing. So there's investors that I've met at the Charlotte REIA breakfast meetings. And somebody asked, those breakfast meetings are from 9 to 10 on Wednesday mornings. Typically, there's a few of us that try to get there at 8:30, 8:45, and maybe have a bite of a pancake and sit there and network, right? and talk or whatever. But it's 20 here in Charlotte. It's anywhere from 20 to 40 real estate investors that meet every Wednesday. People come from Greensboro, Columbia, South Carolina. People come from an hour and a half away to get to this meeting. It's every week because it's such a powerful room to be in. Don't count yourself out if you don't have the credit. Don't count yourself out if you don't have consistent income you can show, because y'all, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just got to want to get in the rooms and talk to wherever you're located. If you're not in the Charlotte area, get in your local REIA meetings and find out who the power players are in loaning money, because there are private money lenders who will loan you the entire project. You won't have to do anything with Susie with Rehab Wallet. You won't have to do anything with any hard money lenders, right? So there are private money lenders out there who have $2, $3, $5, $6, $800,000, but they want to make money on their money. So, right, don't let those numbers scare you, right? Because we all know that, when you go from that $100,000 property to that $1 million property, it's just a few zeros, y'all. It's just numbers. It's just numbers. There's ways to do it. Don't give up on yourself. If this is what you want to do, it's just numbers.
And to piggyback off of Sherry, and then to look at these questions that I see here, I want us, because I think it's very important all that maybe your question is a limiting belief. Maybe your question is something that's like, well, how to? And so when I read your question, Stacy, first and foremost, thank you, because there's people probably on here that are just like, for whatever reason, I always look back at like when Bryce is, when you're a first grader and second grader and the teacher asks a question or says, who wants to do this? Like everybody, woo, woo, they're like, we're all like jumping, they're jumping for joy. You do the same thing to adults, and it's just like, well, I mean, I don't want to sound stupid. Like, this seems like a silly question. No, any question right now just is if you don't ask the question, you're holding yourself back. Okay, that's literally what it is. I ask a lot of questions. I went to some of these meetings. I met one of their head guys, and like he then ended up speaking at Sherry's event, and we've connected now. And I was like, I'm sorry that I took over the whole meeting, but I'm like, I got so many questions because I want to know, I want to do this. So think about these questions on here. That's what I'm saying. Like, put your questions in here. And like I said, it's limiting belief. So Stacy, when you put in here, I've been attending REIA for 2 years and just can't figure out how to pull the trigger. Well, first and foremost, what I always say that's one is I'm glad you're taking the initiative. Two, you got 2 years under your belt to basically say that that plan that you're on doesn't work. Okay. So that plan doesn't work. And why it doesn't work is because you haven't taken the initiative, you haven't done anything, but you've taken the action. So here's the solution to your plan. You got to get with the right people, meaning you got to partner with the right people. Just like it was when I was back in the day, my college days, when I was going to the bar, I would not go to the bar by myself and I would not approach a girl by myself. What do we get? We get a wingman. And the wingman comes with us. Why? Because I feel a little bit more comfortable. I feel a little bit more like swagger in me. And then it's just like, hey, honey, would you like a drink? Like, I wouldn't do that by myself, so I need a wingman. It's the same thing. You guys are all laughing, but it's the same thing in investing in this type of thing. Sherry's my wing woman, and she helps me out because then I feel confident and comfortable going into this. So you need a wingman. And that's why when I said to you yesterday while I was talking, driving to doing my son's soccer practice, that my son wasn't even there, and I said to you, let's have a conversation. Because when you bring those to me, I'm going to be on the phone and I'm going to be talking to them, and you're going to be listening and learning on how to do it because you already have the initiative deep down inside of you. You just don't know the process. And when you don't know the process, you become what we call stagnant. And stagnant leads to just like kind of doing the same thing over and over again, which is not the right thing that you want to do. So how do you pull the trigger? You get with somebody like me. You get with somebody that's why I want to know who the other wholesalers are. Why you get with Sherry and Sherry gets with Susie is because those things are going to help you get over the hump. And this is the only thing I ask everybody that's on here. That you promise, raise your right hand, everybody. You promise, I'm not joking, raise your hand, everybody. You promise to go help somebody else out. You help somebody else out when you have that. So that way because somebody's going to help you and we want you to help them. Okay. So we'll definitely take care of you, Stacy. Sherry, anything you want to add to that?
No, it's just a matter of when you get in the rooms and meet real estate investors, and girl, call me, right? You got my number there in the chat. I'll happily walk you through whatever, but I don't know where you're located, but you really want somebody that's local to you there. I mean, I can help you from afar, right? And we'll do everything in my power to help you because it's truly just a matter of what if things go wrong? What if I lose money? What if that's a big fear. But if you have set it up correctly, if you've bought it right, because how investing works is you make money when you buy it, right? You set up your budget in such a way that the way I coach people and tell people to do this is you set up your budget. You have that surprise money in your budget, right? You have that because I'm going to tell you, y'all know in doing real estate, there's a surprise in every house. It's not if, it's where is it? Right? And so you set your budget up in such a way that that money is there and can be diverted to whatever that surprise is. My last one was I budgeted $2,000 for the plumbing and it ended up being $9,000. Where'd I get that money from? I had in my budget that I needed to put a new roof on, and I had in that $12,000. Y'all, I didn't need a roof. I didn't need a roof. I don't know if y'all knew this, but you can pressure wash a roof and it'll look brand new. But right. So I got the roof kind of patched up and repaired, got it pressure washed, and it looked fine. And I called my hard money lender I was using. And I said, look, this is what's happening with the plumbing, and I need to move this roofing budget money over to the plumbing. And they said, sure. Because I'm going to tell you, your lenders don't want the house back. They want you to get it done, and sold, and so they can get paid in full. So you find ways to put money in your budget so that the surprises aren't as big of a surprise. And I noticed Sasha, I believe, set up here. What if you can get the money? What if you can get the money due to credit, but you don't have the team to do the renovations? Once again, get to your REIA meetings. Your teams are there. Your teams are there because your contractors are showing up. The full-time investors there will reach out and let you know once they find out you're serious. Like a lot of us won't. I won't tell you my uh, plumber or electrician or all of that, but a lot of us as real estate agents already have that contractor list, right? Um, but if you don't have the team to do the renovations, then find your general contractor that does and just hand it off to them. And y'all, the quickest way to get out of something, if you truly want to be hands off on it, right? When you buy the house and you find your general contractor to work on it, you let that general contractor know, hey, I will give you a percentage of the profits. I'll give you 10%. I'll give you 15% of the profits if we can get this done quickly and get it done right. I'm going to tell you, when the general contractor, they're getting paid number one for general contracting, right? Because we all know they pad their budgets for themselves. I'm good with that. Do the job, right? And then you tell them you're going to share the profits with them, 10 to 15%, because you share with them the numbers. Here's what we bought it at. Here's the repairs that you've told me it's worth. And if it'll sell for 350, if that's what the market's going for, and we're going to put it on the market at 338, we're going to put it on the market at 340. We're going to undercut what the market is so it'll sell fast and we all get paid fast. So talk to your general contractors. You don't have to be involved with the renovations if you don't want to. If you've got any emotional, anger, crazy issues you're going through, I encourage you to get in there and with a sledgehammer and do some rehab, do some demolition, right? Demo is fun. That's my favorite part. But yeah, get in there and do some demolition on those days and knock down some walls or, whatever it is. Take those kitchen cabinets out and have some fun with that.
And that's the key thing, though, is just when you have your environment, when you have your team put together, it's just forming. And some people are going to come around, and some people aren't going to come around. But you want to be able to get a team. That's why it's so important to get into the rage rooms, right? Yeah, you want to be able to. You're just going to have conversations with people when you go into these meetings. Now, somebody asked, where do I find hard money lenders? Okay, this is what I did when I was trying to find hard money lenders. Okay, now there's a couple different ways you can go into. I know Kathy on here, Sherry. There's several of you that are already investing, so I'm sure that they have hard money lenders. Okay, I didn't have any hard money lenders, and I didn't really. Maybe I was scared to talk to Sherry. I don't know. This was like over a year ago, and I was just like, well, this is what I do. I'm going to go to Facebook and I'm going to type in hard money lenders and I'm going to look at the groups. And I went into wholesale and I went into all these groups. And then I did something that I think was good for me at the time. I don't recommend it, but I do recommend it. And I said in the chat, I'm looking for a hard money lender. Can anybody help me? And I did that to 3 different groups. I still have my Facebook being blown up with people telling me all under the sun. But guess what? It taught me a lot because I was just like, holy smokes, I had no idea about any of this stuff. But I'm one of those people, I throw it at the wall and I see what sticks. But I still have relationships now from hard money lenders and how to do capital raising and how to do all these different things where just like, and no joke, I probably had 75 conversations. Okay. Probably out of the 75, I got 3 people that really panned out well for me, but I learned a lot. So sometimes it's just a learning phase. So I would recommend, going into that. I first recommend asking people that are already in here and ask them because they already have a relationship. But if you're just like, you know what, for shit and giggles, I'm just going to do this and just see what happens and just have conversations with people. Okay. It's better than twiddling your thumbs than doing nothing and having a pity party on yourself than having people call you. Sometimes it feels good. Like, wow, all these people want to give me money. And then you start telling them what you got going on. And then they're like, well, we're going to need this and we need this. but it helps you learn. So first start off with calling a Sherry. Sherry, put your phone number in again because I'm sure it's all the way up at the top again. Leah, do you have a question or were you still doing your I promise?
No, I've got a handful of questions, but let me narrow it down. So first of all, thank you, because as real estate agents, we have tax benefits too, right? With bonus
Yep.
depreciation and things, but the hard money loan, so when you say 12, 18 months, is the goal to flip it and sell it within that time? Or if you're doing like a buy and hold, do you transition to a DSCR loan, or how does that work?
Yeah, you just said it, Leah. That's exactly it. Now your
Okay.
seasoned investors can do a hard money loan for 6 months and know they can rehab that property and rent it out or flip it, whatever it is, in that 6 month time frame. Y'all, I've done this several times and I still do 12 months, right? I still do it for 12 months. I don't do the 6 or 9 month because I'm giving myself that grace period. I'm giving myself, because if it happens in 4 to 6 months, then praise God, right? Because I mean, it's all the better. But if I need that time, it's there. But you hit the nail on the head. You do a hard money loan for your purchase and your rehab money. And then once you decide what your exit strategy is, like for instance, if you're making it a rental property, that's when you convert it to a DSCR loan. But if you sell it outright, then once you sell it, you take the proceeds and you pay off your hard money lender and take the proceeds check for you and skip on home and do it again. You know you're there.
I'm like Stacy, like been studying this cup 2, 3 years and just have to pull the trigger. But thank you for sharing how we can do it with, not a lot of money too. So thanks for doing
Yeah, and
this.
I encourage you, yeah, and for those of you that are having trouble pulling the trigger, you've been in the rooms and you know the conversations, or even um if you're not sure, like find somebody that you can talk to, even if they don't want to partner with you. Just say, hey, do you mind if I ask you a few questions from time to time? And get like 3 or 4 people that you say that to, and you have their contact information, because each and every investor you meet has different experience, right? And that's what's joyful about these REIA meetings, y'all, is because the way it works typically is they'll have a topic of conversation, and then there'll be a point in the meeting where they'll say who has a have, need, or want. And that's when you stand up and say, my renter quit paying. What do I do? How do I evict somebody? That's when you stand up and say, my plumber says he can't get to my house for the next 3 weeks because he's going on vacation. Who has a plumber that I can call? Right? Get in the rooms where you're making the connections. That way, I know, Monique, you said something about talking to investors without sounding new. You know what? Talk to investors and sound new. Everybody starts somewhere. Don't feel like you have to have it all figured out to get the ball rolling, right? Don't be afraid to be new. Just go in and ask questions, because I'm going to tell you, the first several REIA meetings I went to, I just had to sit there because I'm like, I don't know what those letters mean. I don't know what these acronyms mean, but I'm gonna figure this out, right? And I'm literally like writing down on my little notepad, going, all right, asking the lady beside me, what does this mean? And she's laughing, but we had a great conversation in the parking lot after that. She ended up being one of my, great mentors in this or whatever, because she's like, apparently you're new, and I would have never got to have that conversation with her if I hadn't have had that. You got to have that humility about you, and just be, no fear. Go in with no fear. You know what? You guys figured out how to pass the real estate test in your state, right? You passed the national real estate test. You took that training and you figured that out. So go into these REIA meetings, get in these Facebook groups, and
I
once
love it.
for real estate investors, and man, y'all just pay attention to the conversations, and you'll see who the players are and who the new ones are, and you'll know who to message and reach out to.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go back to a question that we got over here from Evan's Legacy Group. I assume it's Evan's. Um, and Evans, I think, I don't know if that's your first name, if it's Evan or that's the name of it, but you asked the question, I have a short sale on the market that's not moving and I want to know how I can move on it. It needs work. So I wanted to get some clarity on this, that you have a short sale on the market. Is that mean that you are listing this property and it's not moving and it's a short sale?
Yes, my name is Tia Evans, and yes, I am the listing agent, and this house is just not moving. And it's in Durham, North Carolina. It's a short sale. And I was just wondering, I was like, gee, is this something that I could probably purchase and rent out or fix up and flip? So, and it's a townhome, sorry, not a house, but it's a townhome. And so, yes, that was just my question. Wasn't sure exactly even how to go about it. I haven't done any investments. It's something that I want to do, but yeah.
Jerry, do you want to answer first?
If it's a townhome, you're going to need to look at the HOA and see if it's a property that can be rented, right? And the other answer I want to give to that is your investors typically work on a 70-30 rule, right? Your investors want to buy. When I tell you you want to buy properties with equity, you're buying a property and holding out at least 25 to 30% equity in it. And just to give you simple math on that, on your short sale there, how it's priced, whatever, let's say the ARV, the after repair value, right, is $100,000. So what you want to pay for that, the most you want to pay for that is $70,000. And in that 70 is whatever repairs need to be done and purchasing the property, right? And I know it sounds crazy, like nobody sells houses like that, but yes, they do, y'all, every day. Yes, they do. You just got to flip your mindset and just, you know how to negotiate, right? But that's how you buy houses, right? So that's what you got to find out, Tia, is do the numbers first of all. Like, what kind of repairs does it need to have to be rented or sold, right? What kind of, and if you have a general contractor that can walk through it with you and give you those numbers, great. Or if you already know that those numbers, depending on your experience, right? In real estate, if you know what it costs to put new flooring and have it painted and maybe update the kitchen, countertop, whatever it is, get those numbers and then back down to your 70% of what you'll offer for it. If it's a short sale, that's kind of different because it's a bank, it's involved in all of that. But that kind of gives you a quick and dirty kind of how real estate investors do their math. That 70-30 rule is what we typically, well, not typically, that's what we stick to. That's how you make money when you buy it.
And the thing that I would add to it is calling the listing agent itself to understand, to see, like we were at 30 for 30. If anybody's not looking at Zach Thomas, 30 for 30, you'll see Joey Dispo. Several of you been on there already, but they're bringing on today's probate at 7 o'clock tonight. I've never seen such a thing. The guy's been doing it 30 days. He's put me to shame. Like, I do my show like every morning, Monday through Friday. He even does the weekends. I was like, damn, brother. But they're bringing on amazing people. Today it's probate, and they're just like having a conversations like we're having, even more in depth, of like diving into the meat and potatoes. But he was talking. There was a short sale guy yesterday. I was telling you about this. The first thing I would do is call, one of the first things besides the HOA, but like, calling the listing agent. Hey, is this property? Are you able to rent it out? And number two, what do the numbers look like? What did the bank tell you is their buyout? We're doing a short sale. I think somebody sent it to me. I can't remember where it is. I want to say Virginia, but it was like, okay, they owe $15,000 in arrears. They have a deferment, which is another $7,000. They have $17,000 in their solar panels, and then they have their mortgage that they need to pay out. So I was just like, okay, well, let's add up all those numbers. When we add up all those numbers, guess what? It's above what the market price is. So no matter how badly I want to do it, no matter how much the HOA says, yes, you can rent it out, the numbers are just not going to make sense. And unfortunately, it's going to go to the foreclosure side of things. in reference to it. And then you just have to keep an eye on it. And at some point, you'll be able to potentially purchase it on the foreclosure side. But if it's close, okay, if it's close, if the numbers are close, still submit an offer because the bank would rather take a loss of 15,000 than take a loss of 300,000. They're like, you know what? All right, we're just going to write this in our asset manager and we're just going to put a negative $15,000 in it. And we rather just go from there. So, and don't trust the listing agent. That was one thing I also learned from that guy last night. Don't trust the listing agent, think that they know what the hell they're doing. Sometimes they're just taking listings. Guys, is our transaction count high? Hell no. Is business booming? Hell no. Are things like days on the market growing? Yeah. So people are taking anything that moves, anything and everything real estate agents are taking. Thank you, Kathy, for putting that on there. Guys, I'm telling you, I've been blessed to speak on it twice. But every 7 o'clock, every night it's been. I don't know when he's stopping, but go and get it. But don't trust the listing agent on what they have. You ask them some generalized questions, but you got to do your own due diligence in reference to that. So Tia, that's where I would suggest starting off too. Like as Sherry said, do a little due diligence first, and then go from there with those numbers. 7 o'clock Eastern.
Thank you. That was really good information. Thank you so much, both of you.
You
And
bet.
just call me, Tia. Call me, and I'm happy to help you walk through that if you'd like. That's not a problem. I wanted to speak to the conversation I've been having with Stacy Joe in the chat about how the hard money and rehab money works. She asked about an earnest money deposit, and that it's not, they don't call it earnest money or due diligence money. It's nothing like that. So it's not like retail real estate in that sense. But the deposit they require is 10 to 20%, depending on your experience, right? And the other thing is they pay off the property when you purchase the property, right? But then you get your rehab money in draws. And the draws, every lender is different how they pay on their draws. Some will pay you when the project is started. Like you just have to, like a lot of them have apps now, and you go in with the app to the house and you show the electrician is there updating the electrical, and then they release the funds for that rehab for that particular part of your budget. They release it at that point. So do you need money to get started? No. In other words, if some lenders won't release the money until the project is completed, then you just relay that to your contractor, because that contractor, when they finish that job, they want to be paid immediately. But you just tell them I have to, I'm sure a lot of them are used to this already, y'all. They already know how this works, because that money's going to be released either that day, it'll take 4 to 6 hours, or the next business day. So they're going to get paid in the next 24 to 48 hours. Your money's going to be released for you. So truly, all that's, when you say, do you need any money to do this? That's why I say you're looking for private money lenders for that 10 to 20% down. That's where you're paying them to that interest to use their money to make money. So in other words, they're letting you borrow, say, if 20% down of your property is, say, $50,000, right? Then you're trying to borrow that $50,000 plus whatever your holding costs are going to be. What are your holding costs? Your holding costs is your mortgage, the hard money loan, right? Which is interest only. So it's interest only on whatever you've borrowed, and that payment goes up as you draw on the rehab part of it, right? So that interest payment goes up as you draw money out to pay your contractors. So you're borrowing from your private money lender, your down payment plus your holding costs. So your holding costs are the interest only payments for your hard money loan, and also your insurance, right? What it's going to cost to turn the power on, what it's going to cost to, if there's city sewer water, it's just like the house you live in, wherever you live, it's whatever your monthly costs are. You just figure all that out and add that to that. And y'all, this happens every day. So don't feel like, I don't want you to sit and listen to this and be like, nobody's going to loan me that money. With that mindset, you're right, they won't. You have to speak to this with confidence. And the way you find your hard money lenders, like I tell people, when you're going to a holiday dinner, when you're going to any kind of social function and somebody says, what do you do? Well, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'm also an investor. And listen, by the way, if you know anybody that wants to earn, 10 to 15% on their money, let me know because I'm always looking to partner up with somebody to, so we can all make money. And you leave it right there. You don't say any more. You leave it right there because whether that person is interested or somebody else, they're gonna, they'll be like, well, what is she talking about making 10 to 15% on my money? What does that mean? You let them become a real estate investor in the sense that they're investing in you completing your project. And they're going to let you borrow that $100,000. And then in 12 months, you're going to give them back 110. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is great. When can we do it again? I promise you, they're going to be throwing money at you once you complete your first project with somebody. They're going to want to do this again.
Which brings me to this question, Sherry, here. Okay, I've had several conversations. There's some people on here that I know of as well. What happens if somebody does have money? Be like, hey, Brock, I got 25,000, I got 50,000, I got $100,000. Like, where should I go? What should I invest in? What should I do? Brock, I have a 401k that I could pull out. Brock, I have an IUL. Brock, I have this much money. I just got this from this closing of 20 grand. Like, I've been wanting to do it. Sherry, what would you tell those people that do have some capital in their bank account right now and they're trying to figure out what to do with it that would be best used? What would you say to them?
Well, it depends on the amount, right? It depends on how much you've got there because, and let me share this too. If you're wondering what you're telling your private money lenders, what their security is they get a lien on the property and your real estate attorney draws up that paperwork. They get a second lien on the property because your first lien is your hard money lender. But now if your private money lender has enough money to do the whole project, they're ready to let you hold 300,000, then they get a lien on the property. And your private money lenders do not want this house. They do not want this house back. I'm telling y'all. Uh, but if you've got a little bit of money, get to your get to your REIA meetings and talk to people and listen to what people stand up and say when they're looking for money. There'll be somebody in the room that needs 20, 30, $40,000, and they maybe only need it for 60 or 90 days, right? They call it gap funding. When you hear somebody talk about gap funding, GAP, gap funding, that's what they're looking for. They just need some holdover money for whatever it is. And you just talk to them and figure out, what do you need this money for? What's the guarantee that I'll get it back? You go through your real estate attorney to draw up the paperwork, or you use theirs. You guys figure that out. So if you want to get involved, just find the people that are doing it. And what that's going to let you do is let you could just kind of be like a little, let you sit in their pocket for a minute and be like, all right, can we just talk through how you're doing this? Because I really want to get involved. I really want to do this myself. And I'm telling you, the abundance mindset of these folks will come forth on you. Be like, really? Oh, you want to get involved? Well, let's talk.
There you go. There you go. Guys, can you believe it's already 1 minute until 11 o'clock already? It has been a fast hour that we had. If you got something out of today, drop a 5 in the chat. If you got something out of today, drop a 5 in the chat for us. And to a shout out to Sherry for sharing with us. Sherry, look at all these 5s. When we get done the 5, Sherry, I want you to put your information in there again. I will put in there. Kathy, if you could do me a favor, if you can put back in there Joey's and Zach's 30 for 30. I'm going to put in my information as well. Looks like Sherry also does a class. She personally coaches people and helps them. She has a class that she does. I'm going to strongly suggest you all calling her and having a conversation with her about that. I mean, like I told you, it's all about the mindset. It's all about having that person help you. I'm blessed that Sherry and I partner together, work together, and because she brings things to the table that I don't think about, and hopefully in some capacity I bring things to the table that she doesn't think about. But that's what a partnership is all about. And so, thank you, Kathy, for putting that in there. So I just wanted to thank you, Sherry. Sherry, how do you close this out, Sherry? And what you got? What's your close out?
My closeout, you guys, if you're here today, you're interested, right? Don't talk about it to people that will poo-poo on your dreams. Talk about it to people who have a like mindset, right? Because there's Debbie Downers everywhere, and leave them behind. Just mentally say thank you, right? Because you'll learn who to talk about it with and who not, right? I encourage you, go to my YouTube channel. I put the class I do is 8 weeks. The first class is in that YouTube channel, in that link you saw there. I'll put it in here again. Go watch that first class, because the first class is all about how to find the money, right? So if you want to kind of hear a little bit more on that, I go into more depth and more detail there. Go watch that first class. The second class, just so you know, is where I bring in seasoned pros. Right? I created the class that I wish I could have taken, because a lot of times when you get in talking to real estate investment people, they can tell you their experience, but I wanted to hear other people's, because everybody gets into this differently, right? There's just so many different avenues. Like when you go to your REIA meeting, they're going to ask you, well, what do you want to do? You want to wholesale? You want to flip? You want to rent? And you might not know yet. And that's okay. Just say that. I don't know. People stand up in the REIA meetings I go to all the time and say, my name is Sherry, and I'm just interested in real estate investing, and I'm new to this, and looking forward to learning from y'all. Sit right back down. Y'all need to let them know, though, you're a real estate agent. Wait a minute. Let them know you're a real estate agent. Let them know you're licensed, right? Because you can help them with your knowledge as well. But y'all don't give up on yourselves. Don't let fear enter your mindset, right? That's a big, just so you know, my class is anti-fear. It's a faith-based teaching that I did for you to learning how to release that fear, learning how to let go of that paralysis analysis kind of thing. And I encourage you to get started. I'm glad y'all came today. I'm so glad y'all were here. I'm excited for you.
Sherry, thank you so much. It is great to have you on here and to be able to share. Guys, we can't put our contact information any more than we've already did in the chat. So we will leave the screen open for a little bit. Jay, if you can leave it open so people can go back and look at the links and go through the chats, go back. I'd screenshot phone numbers, all go in the back up there and screenshot phone numbers, take pictures of these phone numbers so that way you have them. Reach out to them. If you got 30 minutes from 11:30 blocked off in your calendar, make it growth. Be like, hey, I was just on that. Just wanted to introduce myself. That's what it's all about, connections and contacts you don't know. For those of you that are a real estate agent and want to connect with me, please feel free to reach out to me. If you got a deal, if you got something that's close and you want me to help you close that deal and call that lead, I'm here to help you out with that. Join Sherry's class, get involved. I tell you, call Sherry. She's a wealth of knowledge. Guys, I appreciate y'all. We'll be back in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we'll be back again. I already got somebody, Kathy, thank you. She's texting me now saying that there's somebody else that she knows that would be good for this call. So guys, there might be somebody that you know that we can do this on this power player. So God bless you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sherry. Till tomorrow at 8:15 on my Mindset Show, and in 2 weeks for the next power players. Till then, see ya.
Thank you, Brock, for the opportunity. Appreciate you.